Welcome to Fred's 10-Minute Marketing Courses.
Today we are discussing From the Chosen One to the One Chosen, Positioning Yourself, written by Fred James. And, there is this incredibly uncomfortable moment in everyone's life that we just rarely talk about out loud.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. It is that jarring, sudden transition from being a sheltered creator or maybe the star student to waking up one morning and realizing you are just a product.
Right.
Like a product sitting on a very crowded shelf waiting to be picked.
Yeah, it really is a brutal reality check. And honestly, as a manager, I have seen it spare absolutely no one. So that is the fundamental mission of our discussion today.
I thought.
We are taking Fred James' marketing concepts, which are, strategies that were originally designed for launching commercial products into the unforgiving wild, and we are applying them directly to your personal career positioning.
Because whether you feel ready for it or not, the market is already treating you like a product. So our goal is to make sure you are actually positioned to win, rather than just standing there hoping someone magically notices your potential.
Right. But before we can even begin to figure out how to position yourself for success, we really have to tear down the psychological comfort zone that prevents proper positioning in the first place.
Oh yeah, the comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
Fred James refers to this dangerous mindset as the village's hope, which I just think is such a perfect name for it.
It really is. It is the classic founder's trap. I mean, I cannot tell you how many times I have sat in a boardroom and watched a team fall victim to this. A group of engineers or developers spends years building something in total isolation.
And they pour their entire souls into it, right?
Exactly. The technology is incredibly solid. The design is sleek, and the functionality seems flawless in their little testing environment. So when they finally present it, they have this overwhelming pride.
Right.
They assume that simply because they worked so hard and because the product is technically impressive, the market will just naturally hand over its money.
Yeah, they operate under this delusion that they just need to put it out there and the market will somehow cultivate itself to appreciate their genius. But as Fred James points out, that entire mindset acts as an emotional shelter.
A very fragile shelter.
Exactly. Up until the moment a product actually launches, it is the village's hope. Everyone in the company loves it, the executives protect it, and the team projects their wildest financial dreams onto it.
But the fatal flaw is assuming that internal belief equals external demand. And when that external demand inevitably fails to materialize, the emotional shelter just collapses.
It is so painful to watch.
It really is. The team hits a massive brick wall. Fred James calls this the product consciousness awakening, which is a rather poetic term for a highly unpleasant experience.
Definitely.
It is the exact second a team realizes that at least half of their product's fate rests entirely in the hands of a customer who does not care at all about how many late nights were spent writing code.
You would assume an awakening like that happens with a massive dramatic failure. But often, it is just a quiet, creeping realization.
Oh yeah, the slow burn.
Right. It happens when a friend looks at this beloved product you just built and says, well, yeah, it is cool, but if only it could do this one other thing.
Oof. Dreaded if only it could. Hearing that phrase is physically painful for a development team. I have watched designers just deflate in their chairs hearing it.
Because it exposes everything. Right?
Exactly, because it immediately exposes every blind spot in your SWOT analysis, your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. However, a single mild critique from a real user is infinitely more valuable than a boardroom full of yes men clapping for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just look at consumer electronics for a perfect case study on this.
Yeah.
Picture the Google Glass development team a decade ago.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is a perfect example.
Right. From an engineering standpoint, they were probably high-fiving in the lab every single day. It was absolute cutting-edge technology, like a genuine marvel of miniaturization.
To Google, it was the ultimate village's hope.
Exactly. But they built this magnificent futuristic solution and then went out desperately searching for a problem. They were so sheltered by their own excitement that they never stopped to observe everyday human behavior.
They completely skipped the most important question.
Right. They didn't ask, who actually needs this right now? When it hit the real world, everyday people found the glasses incredibly creepy and completely unnecessary.
Which is such a hard lesson. The market rejected it not because the engineering was bad, but because the product didn't fit into the customer's actual reality.
Exactly.
And, you might be doing the exact same thing with your career right now. Think about your resume. You might be packing it with cutting-edge skills, obscure certifications, and complex jargon that you are immensely proud of.
Oh, totally.
But if your target employer fundamentally does not care about those specific skills to solve their immediate problems today, well, you are the human equivalent of Google Glass.
That is such a good way to put it. And that transition from consumer electronics to your personal life is where Fred James' philosophy hits hardest. He uses the metaphor of graduation day.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah, so the moment you graduate from university, or the moment you pack up your desk to leave your current company for a new job, your status instantly changes. You become a product.
Let's really look at the reality of that transition. In a school environment, your only real job was to learn and grow. If you stumbled on an assignment, teachers or mentors stepped in to guide you back on track.
Yeah, it is a very safe space.
Exactly. You were constantly judged on your effort, your personal growth curve, and your future potential.
But the market does not give out gold stars for effort.
It certainly does not. You are no longer the pampered prototype in the lab. You are a consumer product sitting on a store shelf right next to 10 other highly qualified products.
Right, and an employer looking at your resume does not offer you a discount just because you studied late into the night.
Or because you overcame personal hardship to get the interview. The market only cares about the final showdown. Can you solve the company's problem better, faster, or cheaper than the person sitting in the waiting room next to you?
It is harsh but true. And Fred James breaks this down into 3 simple components to help frame it. The product itself is your essence. The marketing is your layout and strategy. And the sales are the final result.
So in human terms, your essence is your actual skill set and your work ethic.
Right, and your marketing is your personal brand, your networking, and how you design your resume. Then the sale is the actual job offer or the signed client contract.
And the danger is, if you neglect the marketing, if you just rely on your essence being good enough, you will sit on that shelf gathering dust while inferior products with better packaging get bought.
But wait, what happens if a listener is having this product consciousness awakening right now? Like say they're 35 or 40 years old.
That is a very real scenario.
Right. They've been operating as the village's hope for a decade, just assuming their hard work would naturally be rewarded.
Yeah.
Is it too late to pivot?
It is never too late to change your positioning, but, I will not sugarcoat it, late awakenings carry a heavy penalty.
Because you are starting from behind.
Exactly. If you are realizing this late in the game, you have to work twice as hard to catch up. The professionals who understood they were a product on day one of their careers have a massive head start.
They have been doing the groundwork for years.
Right. They have spent years collecting market data, tweaking their personal branding, and gathering a network of resources. You can catch them, but the effort required is significant.
So if we are all just products facing this brutal, unforgiving competition on a daily basis, how do we get the necessary experience without completely exhausting our mental and financial resources?
That is the million-dollar question.
Right, because if every mistake in the real market is penalized, we need a safe place to fail. And Fred James introduces an analogy here that I find completely fascinating. The Top Gun instructor.
Oh, from a management perspective, this is arguably the most practical insight in the entire source material.
It really is.
So in early military aviation, data revealed a pretty grim statistic. Novice fighter pilots were highly likely to be shot down during their first 10 combat missions.
Wow, their first 10.
Yeah, and it had absolutely nothing to do with a lack of bravery or raw flying talent. It was simply a lack of real-world situational awareness. They didn't know what they didn't know until the exact moment someone was firing at them.
Okay, wait, let's pause there for a second.
Yeah.
Because comparing a civilian office job or a freelance career to military combat feels, I don't know, a bit dramatic, doesn't it?
Well, the physical danger is obviously absent, but the stakes for your livelihood are not. Think about it. If you launch a startup and fail your first 10 missions, you have burned through your life savings.
Oh, that is very true.
You've alienated your initial investors and ruined your industry reputation. Or if you take a high-level corporate job you aren't ready for and fail spectacularly, the damage to your career trajectory is immense. You are dealing with limited, irreplaceable resources, your time, your money, and your reputation.
That makes the solution so brilliant. To solve the survival rate problem, the military created programs like Top Gun.
Right?
They took their most veteran, battle-tested instructors and had them fly against the brand-new pilots in highly realistic simulations. The instructors would just ruthlessly defeat these novices day after day.
But it was safe.
Exactly. Because this combat was happening in a safe, simulated environment, the novices could experience the visceral feeling of being outmaneuvered analyze their fatal mistakes on a whiteboard, and correct their instincts. By the time they flew an actual combat mission, their survival rate absolutely skyrocketed.
And in the business world, a skilled consultant or an experienced mentor acts exactly like that Top Gun instructor.
Yeah, they are the simulation.
Exactly. Whether you are managing a startup's product launch or navigating a massive pivot in your personal career, a consultant's job is to shoot down your bad ideas in a conference room before the market shoots them down in reality.
They allow you to fail, iterate, and correct your course before real capital is deployed.
It just makes incredible financial sense.
It really does. It is infinitely cheaper to crash a digital flight simulator than it is to crash a $50 million jet. And in our world, it is dramatically cheaper to pay a consultant's hourly fee to tear apart your business plan than it is to launch a doomed product and lose millions.
That is exactly why early awareness, waking up from that village's hope mentality as soon as possible, is so crucial. If you collect data early and seek out mentors before you are in a crisis, you minimize the need to rely on painful, real-world trial and error.
You survive your first 10 missions in the market because you have already flown them in a safe environment.
Precisely.
But, surviving that initial launch, like landing your first major job or successfully executing your first pivot, that is a massive victory. But a career spans decades.
Right.
How do you navigate the long game once you are actually established?
It is a totally different skill set.
Right. And Fred Jim observes that a career path is rarely a straight line of 100% active choices. It is actually steered by three distinct forces: self, external, and chance.
So let's break those down. Self is the force you control. Your ongoing learning, your shifting self-awareness, the new skills you acquire.
Everything internal.
Right. Then external forces are the massive shifts completely out of your control. This could be your company's sudden change in strategic direction, a macroeconomic recession, or even a sudden family obligation that requires you to move cities.
And finally, there's chance.
Yeah,
And chance is often the most powerful one of all.
it really is. I would actually ask you, the listener, to think about your current job for a second. Look at where you are sitting right now. Did you actively map out a rigorous 10-year strategic plan to land in that exact chair?
Probably not.
Right. Or did your previous company undergo a massive reorg, which is an external force, and during the chaos, you happen to bump into a former colleague in the lobby who recommended you for your current role, which is pure chance.
When you look at Fred James' own journey, you see these three forces violently colliding to shape his trajectory. He did not start out as a marketing guru.
Not at all.
Before he turned 20, he was deeply immersed in coding as a programmer and working as a computer graphic designer. Through a combination of his own shifting interests, massive external changes in the tech industry, and chance encounters, he continually pivoted.
He adapted to the flow.
Exactly. He transitioned into marketing, evolved into a magazine publisher, and ultimately established himself as a high-level consultant. He describes this entire decades-long process as making active choices while simultaneously flowing downstream.
It is a great visual.
Yeah, when he hit an obstacle in the river, he didn't exhaust himself trying to swim upstream. He analyzed the current and pivoted to a new flow.
Which brings to light a truly fascinating contradiction in his professional life. Here is a man who is a certified master at positioning. He expertly analyzes and selects the perfect marketing tools for massive corporate clients.
He is the expert.
Right. Whether a company needs a sprawling B2B lead generation campaign or a highly targeted B2C social media rollout, he knows exactly which levers to pull. Yet, he openly admits that he struggles immensely when it comes to marketing himself.
And I find that irony so refreshing.
Yeah.
We are constantly bombarded by marketing experts who are incredibly loud, always on camera, and constantly promoted their own personal brand.
Oh, it is exhausting.
It really is. But Fred James' personal traits naturally conflict with that aggressive style. He genuinely prefers keeping a low profile. He heavily favors writing concise, thoughtful text over recording flashy, fast-paced video content.
He goes against the grain.
Completely. By traditional, modern marketing standards, you could easily argue he is failing to sell himself.
Well, I see what you're saying, but I'd actually take that a step further and argue that his reluctance to be flashy wasn't a failure at all. It became his ultimate positioning strategy.
Oh, that makes sense.
His authenticity is what sells him. By remaining low-key, being entirely text-driven, and letting the right kind of analytical readers naturally discover his work, he built a brand that attracts clients who value substance over noise.
It is a filter for his ideal audience.
Exactly.
Uh,
True personal positioning is never about faking an extroverted persona or pretending to be the loudest voice in the room. It is about aligning your market strategy flawlessly with your genuine traits.
and that brings us to the most crucial part of our discussion today, practical application. We understand the overarching theory, we accept that we are products on a shelf, and we know our positioning must be authentic.
But how do we actually build this strategy?
Exactly. Fred James outlines a step-by-step checklist consisting of 4 pillars of personal positioning. Let's walk through exactly how to assess these 4 critical areas.
Okay, the first pillar is your interests. On a surface level, this relates to your natural abilities because we tend to spend time getting good at the things that interest us.
Right, that makes sense.
But the deeper, harder question here is about sacrifice. Can you accept abandoning some of your core personal interests temporarily for the sake of market success?
That is tough.
It is. You have to make peace with the fact that if you grind now and achieve success, you can buy back the time to reclaim those hobbies later.
It is a harsh trade-off, but a necessary one to acknowledge. The second pillar is ability and value, which is all about finding your PMF product market fit.
Right.
Now, in software, PMF means building an app that people actually want to download. For a human being, PMF is about finding the environment that desperately needs your specific style of work.
So what does good versus bad PMF look like for a person?
Well, let's say you are an incredibly innovative, boundary-pushing graphic designer. If you take a job at a highly rigid, conservative accounting firm that just wants you to format basic pie charts, your PMF is abysmal.
You would be miserable.
Exactly. You will feel stifled, and the firm will feel annoyed by your constant push for creativity. You have low value there. But if you take that exact same skill set, the exact same essence, and move to a boutique advertising agency, your PMF skyrockets.
Because they need that creativity.
Like they need your innovation.
Yeah.
You suddenly have massive value. You have to objectively assess where your specific skills solve the most painful problems. High scores in PMF dictate your bargaining power for salary.
That leads perfectly into the third pillar, current situation and backup plan. This is a cold, hard look at your immediate financial reality.
The money conversation.
Always. In career terms, are you safe in a well-fortified castle with a massive moat, or do you need to go out into the woods and forage for food tonight?
I like that analogy.
Right. Do you have 12 months of living expenses saved up, giving you the freedom to reject bad job offers? Or are you the sole breadwinner for a family living paycheck to paycheck, needing a signed contract by next Friday?
It changes everything.
It really does. Your financial runway dictates your risk tolerance and completely limits the types of positioning strategies you can afford to deploy.
And your financial runway directly informs the fourth and final pillar, economic returns. This is where you must calculate the difference between direct costs, opportunity costs, and marginal costs regarding your career choices.
So opportunity cost is the classic economic principle. It is the value of what you lose by choosing something else. If you decide to take a low-paying job at a nonprofit because you love the mission, your opportunity cost is the high corporate salary you forfeited.
Exactly. And marginal cost is just as important, though people rarely think about it in terms of a career. In this context, marginal cost is the ongoing mental and physical energy required to stay in a role year after year.
Oh, burnout.
Right.
Sure.
If you hate your job, the marginal cost of doing one more project is massive. It leads straight to burnout. If you love your work and have great PMF, the marginal cost of doing one more year feels near zero.
That is a great way to frame it.
You have to decide your path based on these economics. Do you want to endure a high marginal cost in a stressful corporate job for 10 years just to build direct wealth and then pursue a passion? Or do you take the low-stress passion project now and accept a lower direct financial return?
There is no universally right or wrong answer to that question, but you must make the choice actively rather than letting the current drag you along.
Okay, let's pause.
Yeah.
Because if I am a listener trying to navigate a career transition right now, I might feel incredibly frustrated looking at this list.
Why is that?
Well, I have meticulously assessed my personal interests. I understand my PMF. I know exactly what my savings account looks like, and I have weighed my opportunity costs. But none of these 4 pillars actually tell me what specific job title I should type into the search bar tomorrow morning.
And that is the vital, overarching distinction Fred James wants you to understand. These four pillars were never designed to act as a compass pointing you to your final destination. They do
Okay.
not tell you where to go. They exist to tell you exactly where you are starting from.
They are the you are here to on the map.
Exactly. Think about a physical map. It does not matter how incredibly detailed your directions to the treasure are if you fundamentally misunderstand your current location.
Because your coordinates are completely off.
Right. If you pick the wrong starting line based on a delusional sense of your own market value, or if you ignore your immediate financial reality, you will plot the wrong course.
Definitely.
Even if you run as fast as you can in the completely right direction, your journey is going to be incredibly painful, unnecessarily long, and likely end in failure.
That brings everything full circle. To recap our discussion today, the absolute first step in positioning yourself is shedding that sheltered village's hope mindset.
Step 1.
Yes. You must embrace your product consciousness and face the reality that the market judges you solely on the value you deliver, not the effort or tears you expend. From there, you don't just guess at your career path. You find your true, objective starting point by honestly assessing those four pillars: your interests and sacrifices, your PMF, your financial runway, and the economic returns you're willing to live with.
I want to leave you with one final thought to mull over, something that builds directly on the foundation Fred James has laid out.
Okay.
If you truly accept that you are a product sitting on the shelf right now, waiting for the market to make a purchasing decision, what is your packaging communicating to the world before you even open your mouth?
That is a great question.
When a hiring manager or a client looks at your professional presence, your network, and your demeanor, what does that packaging say about your essence before they ever read a single word of your resume?
Thank you for listening. If you have any thoughts on today's episode or marketing topics, feel free to leave a comment below the video. This is Fred's 10-minute marketing courses. See you next time.